I'm William Johnston.
I'm James Redmond.
And I'm Jonathan Thomas.
Today we're going to talk about PTSD and the effects it has on different people and how people around it are affected by it.
Well, a lot of people, first question is, do they know anything about PTSD? A lot of people do say they know what PTSD is and, some of its effects. And talking to a lot of them, they all either know somebody or know of somebody who knows of somebody who has PTSD. And, the one thing they keep talking about is people coming back from war, but the one thing they don't know is that you get PTSD, just pretty much any traumatic experience can affect somebody that way. So
PTSD can kind of strike anywhere. It doesn't really discriminate what causes it except for an intense amount of fear or terror in the situation.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you think of PTSD, you think of people coming back from war. These war heroes come back and then they kind of go crazy or something. But women are twice as likely to have PTSD than a man is if they undergo like similar traumatic experiences.
Where'd you find this out?
That is according to the National Institute of Mental Health.
I had an interview with Sean Trainer. He is a guy that knows a lot of his friends that went through the Vietnam War with PTSD, and as well he encountered some symptoms himself due to non-war symptoms of going through traumatic experiences in his early childhood life. It couldn't have gone better, in my view, as far as getting information from just one person and what they've been through and what just a common guy, basically. He's 59 years old, Sean Trainer, and he just has a lot of experience within his friends and within himself with post-traumatic stress disorder. So
people can experience PTSD in all manner of ways, although it is usually linked back to a traumatic experience. One of the most common areas for PTSD to be found is in soldiers coming back from Iraq or different battlefields across the world. PTSD can have three different sorts of symptoms in the people it affects. One is that someone can start re-experiencing old things, whether it's night terrors or flashbacks. They can start kind of reliving whatever horror it was that led to them getting PTSD. The second way that I found in my research that PTSD can manifest and the symptoms for it are that people can start becoming more jumpy. There's certain triggers that will set them off. Maybe it's firecrackers or fireworks. Maybe someone even slams the door loudly and it'll start bringing back old feelings. The third way is that because of the two aforementioned symptoms of PTSD, people will start avoiding different things. They'll start trying to avoid situations. They'll become introverted. They'll try to avoid social situations more to avoid flashbacks and triggers. What different ways are there to seek treatment for PTSD?
my interview never really mentioned. He said, though, that from his experience and what he's known from the experience from the Vietnam War to now, that there is more treatment available for this. As long as he quoted to say, as long as the soldier or whoever is going through the experience is willing to seek the help, that there is more help. In his view, there's more help than there ever was in the Vietnam War.
Yeah. So it's been around for years, but I guess it's just recently that it's kind of become an actual syndrome or something that has been medically identified.
Probably thank the media for covering all the wars and covering people coming back.
Yes.
It's probably exposed it a lot more than something in Vietnam War, where it was kind of getting exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One story I actually have from Sean that I interviewed was he talked about a friend of his. He didn't identify the name due to confidentiality or whatever, but he did identify that this gentleman came back from Vietnam, and he knew him and his mom, this gentleman's mom, and the gentleman's mom couldn't wake this gentleman up without him kind of going flashback and reliving his war days. So she would try and wake him up very subtly, and then she tried actually throwing a pillow at him while exiting the room and closing the door. He said that one time she did that, he ended up throwing a knife through the door.
So they're a few ways to treat PTSD. Psychotherapy is one, and there's basically 3 types of psychotherapy. There's exposure therapy, where they use imagery or writing to help survivors face or gain control over overwhelming fear and distress. And then there's a cognitive restructuring.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
that
just you're just rethinking the way things are.
So it'd be kind of like taking maybe a new view on a situation.
Yeah, it's your thoughts about trauma. You think about them, and then you replace them with better thoughts.
Better thoughts.
Rainbows and unicorns instead of
Your own happy place.
Cobras and napalm. And then stress inoculation. It's basically like what it says. You're teaching yourself to reduce anxiety, and then it helps correct inaccurate thoughts related to the trauma. So just like the thing says, stress inoculation, you're inoculating yourself from stress, just like somebody getting a flu shot.
The final message in this maybe would be we are stepping in the right direction as far as this syndrome is concerned. We're a long way from a good end result, but the more knowledgeable people are, that will create change.
I agree.
So is this hope and change we can believe in?